Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for having me here today. And today we are before that I would introduce myself. So my name is Mohammed Baihan, and I'm a PhD student at University of Connecticut. Um, and me and my professor and other members, we are working on biomedical informatics problems, and we are focused, or my focus is on security features to the biomedical informatics. So here we have one of our recent work is about adding rule-based access control to FHIR. So basically, one problem that is in the FHIR. So basically, FHIR provide a way to connect different systems to exchange data, and if we have an attack on one system, for example, so an attacker can get access to this part of information at that system, system one, let's say. But when FHIR comes in, it provides a way to connect different systems. So this information or this attacker can access other information on the other system, because FHIR basically doesn't provide any restriction features to access the resource or its API. So this is the main thing we are working on. Another thing is users or stakeholder of the FHIR or application itself, health application itself, may needs to control their access or the access of other stakeholder with their data. So, for example, patients may would like to grant small pieces of information about his record to specific physicians. Then at another time, want to revoke this access. So basically, in FHIR, this is not provided. And lastly, from the point of view of the developers, basically our solution is for the developer in the first place. It's provide a direct solution. It's like a tool that they can use directly and easily to provide a rule-based access control to their application, to control the access to the resources. And as an example that we are using, we in the University of Connecticut, we developed a Connecticut concussion tracker health application that is developed as a response to a new state law to track concussion information of kids between age 7 to 19 in public health school. And we performed two versions of that application, one in iOS and one in Android. So this is some screen of that application in iOS version. Okay, the rest of my presentation is about this thing. So first, I will talk about how we map the concussion application data to OpenMR via FHIR to make it exchangeable, the data is exchangeable, so we can connect it to other application later, and explain the RBAC, or role-based access control mechanism, the extension that we use, then how we applied it to the application, then how we will show how a developer can use it. And basically, one of the main and powerful implementation of the FHIR specification is HAPI, which is a Java-based implementation of FHIR. And one part of one class, important class of that implementation is interceptor. It's called interceptor adapter. That basically enable a developer to intercept any request before it's continue or before it's complete. Bring data from the resources itself, so he can do whatever he wants. And we use this to create our authorization interceptor or auth interceptor, which basically supports three main things. Enable to define policy, security policy, in terms of rules. So it's enable to define rules, user, and resources, which is FHIR resources, like patient, condition, and etc. So assign rule to user and authorize such rules to resources. And it provides specific format of JSON file that include this policy. So it's already in a specific format that can be used directly. And finally, this tool is enforce these policies to restrict any user to access a resource. And I will not go into detail of the code because it's more technical. So anyone interested in that code can contact me. So this is a general architecture of the solution. So basically, the application on this side try to access a FHIR resource, for example, patient, and interceptor is in between them, and so we intercept any requests. We call or bring the RBAC policy. Then we apply it to the resource simply. So it will allow or deny this request. And this is the mapping of the OpenEMR and concussion application for adding security. So we, based on the information that is used by the concussion application, we select 6 resources: patient, condition, encounter, episode of care, and observation and care plan resources. So it's connected from 2 sides, one from of concussion application and from OpenEMR. Then we add the security, the RBAC interceptor here. So it's, instead of directly call the resources or bring the data or implement any related requests, so it's intercepted before then it's continue the work. And so if there is if the user is not authorized to access one of the resources, it gets restricted. Sample example for our application. So we have a number of roles. For example, a parent or nurse, and for each resource, you can, or there is a defined policy. So for example, a parent can create, that means insert data, read and update anything about the patient resource, and other roles as well. So how to be used by a developer? Basically, a developer needs just to design a simple API that retrieves an RBAC policy in the specific format that will show. Then just extend the authenticator interceptor class that we develop to provide a link to the API, our policy API, the previous step. So basically, this is what we need to do. So extend the authenticator authorization interceptor and just provide a link to the policy. And the format of policies will be like this. So define user, roles, resources, and user role assignment, role resource authorization. So, and for each user, just need to have ID and name, role ID and name. For each resource, ID, name, and method. So, for example, for resource one, a method get or read can be performed on a resource patients. And here, assign user to role ID. So, for example, user with ID 1 is assigned to role 1. And here, the role is authorized to resources. So, for example, if we have a user with ID 1, if we assign it to a role ID 1, which is a parent, he just can access, and the role ID 1 can access the resource ID 1, which is patient get. That means this user, which is with ID 1, can just access a patient resource on get method. Other thing is restricted. So as an example, this is an allowed access. We use the Postman tool to display our work. So when you call condition resource, and this user is allowed to access this resource to retrieve the data. FHIR data. FHIR condition resource with this data. And this is an example of restricted or rejected requests based on the rules. So basically, this is what we have done. So our work can be seen as two things. First, a concussion tracker application that enable this application to be connected to other application and to provide security on this application. Another contribution or another way of use it, it's enable any developer to use the security or RBAC security to develop any other application easily and directly, just by using this approach. You need just to have this format and just have or write this code. So this is what we have today. Thank you very much.